Welcome to the sets, relations and functions chapter. First we will discuss about sets, then we can move to functions, finally we can go for relations. Now look at this, what is a set? Points to remember. First point, a set is a collection of well-defined objects. A set is a collection of well-defined objects. It may be numbers from 1 to 50, natural numbers from 1 to 50, or English alphabets, or anything you can say. It's a collection of well-defined objects. Next, representation of set. Representation of a set. A set can be represented in two methods. A set can be represented in two ways. First one is roster method. Second one is set builder form. You can represent a set either by a roster form or set builder form. In roster form, what I am doing, I am listing the elements which I want to represent in a set, and the elements are separated by commas within the braces. In roster method, the elements are listed and are separated by commas. For example, A is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. 10. These are the 10 natural numbers we have. These 10 natural numbers are listed. Listed means you are representing them 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And the elements are separated by commas. Let us say another set, ovals. Remember one point here, when you are representing the elements in a set, order is not important. Means in which order you are representing the elements will not make any difference. And second one, repetition has no significance. What does it mean actually? If I have a set A comma B, A comma B, A comma B, etc. Even if you write it up to infinity, it is treated as a set having only two elements, A comma B. Repetition has no significance. Okay? While representing the elements in a set, order is not important. Order is not important. Basically, set theory means it is a selection. How many elements you are selecting. Therefore, order is not important in selections. When it is arrangement, then only order is important. Fine. In roster method, in set builder form, In set builder form, a set is represented or the elements are represented in set builder form characterizing property. In set builder form, a set is represented by a characterizing property of its elements. By a characterizing property of its elements. For example, X is equal to A is equal to set. A is a set. Here, instead of listing the elements, you are saying in which way elements can be generated. In a set builder form, what I am doing? I am representing the way in which elements can be generated. X is an element in this set. How I will get X? X is equal to n, comma, n belongs to natural numbers. So, when I am taking as natural numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, the elements are automatically generated. A is equal to X such that X is equal to 2n, comma, n belongs to capital N. X is an element such that X is equal to 1 by n plus 1, comma, n belongs to natural number. N belongs to natural numbers. This way, the elements can be automatically generated with this property. This way, when you represent a set, it is called a set builder form. Okay. When a set is having finite number of elements, then it is called a finite set. And if it is having infinite number of elements, then it is called an infinite set. For example, look at this. Here the elements are listed and the listed elements are counted by numbers. Okay. When the counting process is terminated by a natural number, then it is called a finite set. How many elements this set is having? When I start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., my counting process is terminated at 100. After that, there is no element in this set. So it is called a finite set. Same example you can consider here. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. This way if I represent, then it is called an infinite set, because the counting process is not terminated by any natural number. It is go on counting. Therefore, it is called an infinite set. Again, I am repeating this point. In a roster method, we are representing the elements by listing them, and the listed elements are separated by commas. Okay. Now I start counting how many elements the set is having. When my counting process is terminated by a natural number, then it is called a finite set. And when my counting process is not terminated by a natural number, then it is called an infinite set. Okay. Let us see different types of elements, different types of sets we have. Different types of sets or simply types of sets, you can say. Types of sets. First one is empty set or null set. A set without any element is called an empty set. A set without any element is called an empty set or null set or void set. A set without any element is called an empty set or a null set or a void set. It is denoted by phi. It is denoted by phi. In roster method, an empty set is denoted by brasses without any element. An empty set is denoted by or represented by brasses. Within the brasses, when I don't write any number, then it is called an empty set. Next one is singleton set. Singleton set. A set having only one element is called a singleton set. A set having only one element is called a singleton set. Okay, even though finite set and infinite set definition is given, one more time I am writing finite set. When the listed elements counting is terminated by a natural number, when the listed elements counting is terminated by a natural number, then it is called a finite set. When the listed elements counting is terminated by a natural number, then it is called a finite set. Next one is infinite set. When the counting process of listed elements is not terminated by a natural number, then it is called an infinite set. Next, cardinal number of a set. cardinal number of a set. It represents the number of elements. It represents the number of elements in a set. It represents the number of elements in a set. Look at this. Suppose a set is having 5 elements. Then its cardinal number is denoted by n of a is equal to 5. One more example, set A is having 5 alphabets. Then n of a is equal to 5. What is meant by cardinal number of a set? When we are representing the elements in a set and how many elements it is having, if I raise a question, answer to this question is called its cardinal number. So cardinal number of a set will always represent the number of elements in a set. It is denoted by n of a. Equivalent sets. Two non-empty sets. Two non-empty sets A and B are said to be. Two non-empty sets A and B are said to be equivalent when their cardinal numbers is same. When their cardinal number otherwise you can say two sets A and B are said to be equivalent when they have equal number of elements. Two non-empty sets A and B are said to be equivalent when they have equal number of elements. When they have equal number of elements. For example, A is a set having elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So its cardinal number is 6. Now B is equal to A, comma, B, C, D, E, F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here also number of elements are same. Set A and set B are having equal number of elements. Elements need not be equal here. Equal number of elements. 1, 2 sets are having equal number of elements. Then you can say they are equivalent. They are equivalent. Next, equal sets. Two non-empty sets A and B are said to be equal if every element of A is in B and every element of B is in A. Two non-empty sets A and B are said to be equal if every element of A is in B and every element of B is in A. Again same example I am considering this time 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cardinal number of A is equal to 5. Set B is equal to 5, 4, 1, 2, 3. Here also cardinal number is same. Every element of A is in B and every element of B is in A. Therefore A is equal to B. Therefore A is equal to B. Look at the definition one more time. Two sets A and B. Here I am considering non-empty sets. So again let us modify this. Two non-empty sets A and B are said to be equal if every element of A is in B and every element of B is in A. Okay, one more point to remember here is two equal sets are always equivalent. But the converse is not true. What does it mean actually, sir? Let's go back to the definition of equivalent sets. Equivalent sets means when two elements are having equal number of elements. When two sets are having equal number of elements, then they are said to be equivalent sets. But what is the condition for equal sets? They should contain equal number of elements and the elements are also same. Look at this here. A is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 elements. B is also having 5 elements. 5, 4, 1, 2, 3. Number of elements are same. Number of elements are equal. Whenever number of elements are equal, it is an equivalent set. For equal sets, what is the additional condition they have to satisfy? Not only the number of elements are equal, but also same elements these two sets should have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 1, 2, 3. Every element of A is in B. Every element of A is in B. And every element of B is in A. Therefore, you can say A and B are two equal sets. Next, subset. Now look at this. Let A and B are two sets. If every element of A is in B, if every element of A is in B, then the set A is called a subset of B and is denoted by A is a subset of B. A is a subset of B. How to read it? A is a subset of B. When I write this way, B is superset of A. What does it mean actually, sir? Set A is derived from set B. Set A is derived from set B. So the derived set is called subset of the given set. One more time I am defining this or explaining this. I have two sets A and B. If every element of A is in B, then the set A is called a subset of B and is denoted by A is a subset of B. This is presentation. Basically, what does it mean actually? I have a set B. From this, some elements are selected, and the selected elements are represented with another set A. Then I have every element of A is in B. See an example. A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. B is equal to again 1, 2, 3, 4. Let us see. Every element of A is in B. So this set A, when I see from set B's point of view, it is derived from B. I selected 4 elements from set B and again it is written. Therefore set A is a subset of B. Here you can see B is a subset of A also. If I see B from A's point of view, every element of B is in A. So you can say B is a subset of A. When these two are equal sets, when A and B are equal sets, then you can say A is a subset of B or B is a subset of A. But when you are defining the term subset means see one set from another set point of view. Here set A, I want to say is a subset of B. So what I am doing, I am looking A from B's point of view. I am looking A from B's point of view. Every element of A is in B. Therefore A is a subset of B. Look at this. If every element of A is in B and B is having at least one extra element which is not in A, if every element of A is in B and B is having at least one extra element which is not in A, then set A is called a proper subset of B. Set A is called a proper subset of B and is denoted by A is a proper subset of B. So there is no is equal to sign here. How to read this? A is a proper subset of set of. Let us see an example. Set of natural numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. It is a set of natural numbers. Let us see a set of whole numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Now I can say natural numbers set is derived from whole numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are common in both the sets, but whole numbers set is having one additional element 0 which is not in natural numbers. Therefore you can say natural numbers is a proper subset of whole numbers. In the same manner, when I consider integers z minus infinity, etc., minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc., infinity. Now let me compare whole numbers with integers. From 0 to infinity, the positive numbers are same. 0 to infinity, positive numbers are same in case of integers as well as whole numbers. But integers are having some additional elements. This set is what? Negative numbers set, which whole numbers does not have. So I can say whole numbers is a proper subset of integers. Proper subset of integers. In the same manner, when I consider real numbers means rational numbers and irrational numbers. Okay, rational numbers and irrational numbers. So integers does not have irrational numbers. Integers does not have irrational numbers. Therefore, I can say real numbers is a superset. So integer is a subset of real numbers. In the same manner, when I consider complex numbers are having real part as well as imaginary part. Complex number means a number which is of the type a plus ib. A number which is of the type a plus ib. A is the real part and second one ib is called imaginary part. So real numbers does not have imaginary part. Therefore, real numbers are proper subset of complex numbers. This way if I go, I can write natural numbers is a proper subset of whole numbers. Whole numbers is a proper subset of integers. Integers is a proper subset of real numbers. Real numbers is a proper subset of complex numbers. Once again I am repeating this point. Natural numbers is a proper subset of whole numbers. Whole numbers means which contains 0, additional number. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Whole numbers. Natural numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only. So whole numbers is having one additional element, one extra element which natural numbers does not have. This is the parent set and it is the child set. So child set and parent set, when I compare, this parent set is having one additional element which the child set does not have. Okay. In the same manner, integers and whole numbers, when I compare, integers are having negative numbers which whole numbers does not have. Therefore, whole numbers are derived from integers. This way you can define proper subset. So natural numbers is a proper subset of whole numbers. Whole numbers is a proper subset of integers. Integers is a proper subset of real numbers. Real numbers is a proper subset of complex numbers. This way you can define the subset. Let us see here. Empty set is a subset of every set. Empty set is a subset of every set. Again, let us go back to the basic definition. Set means selection, or you can say let's go to the subset definition. Subset is more from a parent set you are selecting some elements, or from the given set some elements you are selecting. If I don't select any element, then there is no element in the selected set. When there is no element in the selected set, it is called an empty set. Therefore, empty set is a subset of every set. Every set is a subset of itself. Every set is a subset of itself. Every set is a subset of itself. The number of subsets of a set having n elements is given by 2 power n. How many subsets we can get from a given set? That is 2 to the power of n. 2 to the power of n number of subsets we will get. If the given set is having only 2 elements, 2 to the power of 2, 4 elements, 4 subsets you will get. If the given set is having 3 elements, 2 to the power of 3, 8 subsets you will get. Next, the number of proper subsets of a set. Proper subsets of a set having n elements is given by 2 power n minus 1. 2 power n minus 1. It means, what does it mean actually? You are eliminating the option of not selecting any element from the total. At least one element you have to select here. When you are saying proper subset means at least one element you have to select. Then it is called a proper subset. Means the selected set is having at least one element. Now look at this. Suppose set is having 3 elements A, B, C. So n of A is equal to 3. When a set is having 3 elements A, comma B, comma C, then its cardinal number is 3. So number of subsets is equal to 2 power 3, this is 8. How many subsets you will get for the given set? 8. Let us write not selecting any element. Not selecting any element. It means empty set you are considering. Now you are selecting only one element. You are selecting only one element. The selected element may be A, or the selected element may be B, the selected element may be C. So single element, only one element you have selected. But you may select 2 elements also. When 2 elements are selected, it is A, comma B, it is A, comma C, it is B, comma C. Suppose 3 elements are selected, then it is A, B, C. Okay, these are all subsets we have. Look at the first point. Empty set is a subset of every set. Not selecting any element is also a process. So empty set is a subset of every set. Next, every set is a subset of itself. Now look at this here. When all the elements are selected, from the given set, how you are writing this? A, comma B, comma C. These are the 3 elements this subset is having. But the given set is having 3 elements A, B, C. It means the given set you have written one more time here. Therefore, every set is a subset of itself. Look at, count the number of subsets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8. So total number of subsets we have 8. Power set. How to define a power set? Power set, when you are saying set means it is represented. So a power set is a set. A power set is a set which contains the subsets of, which contains all the subsets of a given set. Power set is a set which contains all the subsets of a given set. Now consider the same example. A is equal to A, comma B, comma C, and it is having 8 subsets. If I represent these 5 subsets as elements, if I represent these 8 subsets as an elements in a roster form, then again you will get a set. Look at this empty set. A, B, C, A, comma B, A, comma C, B, comma C, A, comma B, comma C. Here we included all the subsets of the given set and closing this. and closing. This is called power set. This is called power set. So how you are defining a power set? A set which contains all the subsets of a given set as its elements. Okay. So a power set is a set which contains all the subsets of a given set. All the subsets of a given set. All the subsets of a given set. This way you can define a subset, power set. This way you can define a power set. Okay, sir. Next, universal set. Universal set. Before going for the definition, let us see an example. Set A is having 1, 2, 3, 3 elements. Set B is having 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Set C is having 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This way 3 sets I have. 3 sets I have. Now a set which contains all the elements of the given 3 sets. All the elements of the given 3 sets. It means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here look at this universal set. This set contains the elements of set A, the elements of set B, and the elements of set C. So universal set is a set which contains all the elements of the given sets in the given context. It is called a universal set. Is it clear? Let me repeat this point once again. To define universal set, let us consider an example. Set A is having 3 elements 1, 2, 3. Set B is having elements 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is having 5 elements. Then I have a set C in this manner 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I want to define a universal set. So universal set is a set which contains the elements of all the given 3 sets in this context. This is called a universal set. Let us take another example. A is equal to odd natural numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, etc. B is equal to even natural numbers. So universal set is a set which contains natural numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So this universal set is having even numbers, or you can say even natural numbers as well as odd natural numbers. So universal set is a set which contains the elements of the 2 sets in this given context. This is called universal set. And it is represented by mu. And it is represented by mu. Okay, let us see the definition. A set that contains all sets in a given context is called a universal set. And is denoted by mu. And is denoted by mu. Okay, sir. Look at this. Don't get any confusion here. What is written all sets? In the sense, universal set is having the elements of set A, elements of set B, or elements of set B. Or you can define this a set that contains all the elements of given sets in the given context is called a universal set. So when you are defining or when you are talking about a set means, remember this point every time you are viewing this particular set from its elements point of view. Again I am repeating this point. When I am saying something about a set, I mean to say that particular set contains what? A set is having elements. So which elements it contains? It contains the elements of all the given sets in the given context. That is the meaning of what I want to say. Don't get any confusion with the terminology. Okay, set A is having 3 elements, set B is having 5 elements, set C is having 6 elements. Okay, so repetition is eliminated, and the remaining elements when I represent, I'll get one more set. That set is denoted by universal set. This way you see, looking a set means you have to always look at set from its elements point of view. Okay, sir. Next. One diagram. One diagram I will consider for operation of sets. We have union of sets, we have intersection of sets, complement of a set, difference of sets. This way different operations we are doing. For that, how can I represent them with the help of a Venn diagram? Operation on sets. Operation on sets. First let us consider 2 sets, then we can extend the concept to 3 sets also. First one is union of 2 sets. Union of 2 sets. Let A and B be 2 sets. The union of A and B. The union of A and B is the set of all those elements which belong to A or B or to both A and B. Sorry. Let's see an example. A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. B is equal to 3, 4, 5, 6. So A union B is equal to, it contains the elements of A or B or both. So A union B contains the elements of A as well as B. One diagram is, this is set A, sir. This is set B. Since there are some elements common, therefore intersection is there. There are some elements which are common here in this example for A and B. So whenever there is common elements, whenever you have common elements for two sets, intersection of sets is there. A union B means this way you are representing A union. And one more point to notice here, see, A union B contains all the elements of set A. A union B contains all the elements of set A. Also, it is having some additional elements which are not in set A. Also, it is having some additional elements which are not in set A. Therefore, you can say A is a proper subset of A union B. A is a proper subset of A union B. Similarly, let us see set B from A union B's point of view. Let us see set B with A unions B point of view. B is a proper subset of A union B. Every element of B is in A union B. So I am looking set B from A union B point of view. So B is a proper subset of A union B. So one diagram is represented in this manner. Next, next one is intersection of sets. Intersection of sets. Let A and B be two sets. The intersection of A and B is the set of all those elements that belong to both A and B. That belong to both A and B. Now let us see first example. When I put a numerical example in front of you, it will be very clear. A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. B is equal to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So A intersection B is also a set, sir. A intersection B is also a set, and it contains the elements which are in A as well as in B. So this is 3, 4 elements which are in A as well as in B. Only two elements, 3 and 4, which are in A and in B. So A intersection B is equal to 3, 4. Now look at this. Let us see A intersection B from A's point of view. A intersection B is a proper subset of A. Every element of A intersection B is in B. Is in A. So A intersection B is a subset of A. A intersection B is also a subset of A. So its Venn diagram is, this is set A, this is set B, this part is A intersection B, this part is A intersection. Okay. When two sets are disjoint, there is no common element. This is set A and this is set B. There is no common element at all. then A intersection B is equal to empty set. A intersection B is equal to empty set. Okay, that's all in this. Next remaining I'll consider in the next session. Thank you.